welcome to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. I'm Jemma Gofton with another edition of the programme that aims to make your next cruise or holiday as problem-free and relaxing as possible. So if you have a holiday, cruise or travel-related question, here's how to get in touch. Okay, you can search for us on Facebook and Twitter. Just put in Holiday and Cruise channel and you'll find us there. Or you can send in your questions on our website at www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, where you can also write to us at the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Now, in today's programme, we're talking about rail holidays in Canada. What better way to explore the Canadian Rockies than on a train? Passing wildlife and landmarks that can only be viewed from a train. And here to tell us more about it is Craig Upshall from Rocky Mountaineer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Tell me.
Well, actually, I'm going to call you friend of the show. If you've been in more than once, you're a friend of the show now.
Great.
Yep.
Good.
So, when is the best time to visit the Rockies on a train?
So we operate during the summer season, so between April and October. So any time during that time is really a good time to travel. Depends on the scenery changes, depending on the weather. So obviously earlier in the season there's a lot of snow around. So as we go through the season, the snow melts, the rock appears, the rivers become a bit lower. So earlier in the season there's a lot more wildlife around, so the bears come out of their hibernation. Kind of May, June time, so that's a really fun time to go and kind of go bear spotting. And then as the season, the colours change, everything comes to life. So yeah, any time during really April and October is fab time to travel over.
So let's break down the season sort of in wildlife and greenery for people. So the first bit would be the snowy bit. So that for me would be the bit I would want to see. Would I still see wildlife and things like that?
Yeah, you'll see the mountain goats and longhorn sheep. Bears generally come out of hibernation depending on when the snow stops, really. So usually towards the end of May, early June is probably the most prevalent time, but you can see bears throughout the year. But they're more likely to be around as they come out, and they come down into the valleys where the train tracks are to feed. So that's where they're kind of natural.
And is that really what most people want to see?
A lot, yeah. I mean, everybody wants to see a bear. And a lot of people are very fortunate, and they're frequently sighted from the train and also around the Rockies as well. So if you're travelling around the different destinations, they are around and they come out and they're hungry. So they're looking for food, not for humans.
For picnic baskets.
Yes,
I
exactly.
know all about them, Yogi Bear and all that. Have you seen a bear?
I have. I've been very fortunate, both on and off the train. So they are around, and I've just come back actually for holiday, and we saw bears in August just by the roadside. So really lucky.
Gosh, it must
really
be
exciting.
amazing. What's the appeal of the Rockies, do you think?
The spectacular scenery, so much to do. So from the train you can sit back, relax and see it all. You don't need to do anything, so it's as active or as inactive as you want to be. The scenery is ever changing as you go on a 2-day journey. There's lots of activities to do when you're off the train as well, so we're selling the whole experience of being in the Canadian Rockies. So you can go up the gondolas, or the cable cars, you can go whitewater rafting, you can go canoeing, you can go hiking, mountain biking, or just sit back and relax and take it all in. And in the mountain towns such as Banff and Jasper, you're right in the Rockies. So you can just sit, have a coffee and look at the amazing vistas that are in front of you. I
guess at this point is the point where you think to yourself, I just need to sit back and look at this. Because I think we're so fast, and when we go on holiday even, we're expecting, dancing this and performing that, the other. I think it must be just nice to sit back and appreciate something that probably you won't see again.
Exactly, and it's, the best way to do it is by train. The train travels average around 30 miles an hour, so it is very relaxing. And you sit back, we have wonderful onboard hosts who tend to your every need, feed you, water you, tell you about what you're seeing and where you're travelling to, through and from. And all you've got to do is just sit down, relax, look out the window and take it all in. And you're right, there's no other time where you can do that, I don't think.
And in a day, sort of how many bits of... You're saying it's 30 miles an hour, so we're not going like this as we do to London.
No.
Sort of how will we see it change through a day?
So depending on which direction, we have lots of different routes and different directions. So if we were starting in the Rockies, then you would start with the kind of grand, majestic peaks. The train generally follows rivers or lakes, so we're around water. So you'll leave the Rockies. So the first kind of probably half of the day is mountainous. And then as we start going into the Kamloops area where we overnight at our Gueston hotel, you'll see kind of the hills start to appear as undulating, coloured, so browns, reds, yellows, so more of a kind of desert interior. So if you remember the old kind of... Yeah. I mean, people's perception of Canada, it's cold.
Yeah, that's all I'm picturing.
So in
cold.
the summertime, in Kamloops area, it can get up to 90, 100 degrees. So we've got this desert interior. So if you imagine the old Western films, it's that kind of canyon landscape. And then you're following rivers, you're going through canyons. So the scenery does change quite dramatically as you go through on the first day, and then second day as you head towards the west coast to Vancouver or Seattle. Again, it's changing, and you start hitting kind of the Fraser Valley where it's a lot greener, and again the water, the kind of confluence of two rivers you sample as well. So it's something to see all the time. And you're moving, so it's always going to change.
Here's my problem. As soon as I get on a train, I fall asleep. I would be like, I've missed it all. No, I would make sure I stayed awake. Talking about sleeping, do you actually sleep on the train?
You don't sleep on the train, no. We are an all-daylight only service. So a typical day would be boarding around 8 o'clock in the morning and disembarking around 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening. And then we transfer the guests to an overnight hotel. In Kamloops or Quesnel or Whistler, depending on which route people take.
Gosh, you're saying all these fabulous places that I want to see. You're really making a nice picture for me. And then are you sort of, these places that you go off to and there's things to do, you can go off and do your own thing maybe? So
before and after the train, there's opportunities to do a lot of sightseeing and exploration around Banff and Jasper and Vancouver as well as a big city. Once you're on the train, then we're a continuous 2-day journey. So the overnight stop is really just to go and sleep, and then you're back on the train for breakfast and lunch the following day. But there is so much to do in the Rockies that I would strongly encourage people spend additional time in Banff or Jasper or Lake Louise, one of the most photographed lakes in the world. And Vancouver as a city is, one of the, I think, the top 3 cities in the world to live in, and it's fabulous. Yeah, and it's a waterfront city. So there's so much to do there. So you're 3 nights in Vancouver, you're 2 days on a train, you're 3 or 4 nights in the Rockies. And suddenly there's a week's holiday already, without expanding it. So there's plenty to do.
And I also think perhaps because it is quite a long way for us to travel from the UK, you really need to make it into a good holiday. It's the holiday of a lifetime for me. Let's talk about sites that we'll see and how are they inaccessible to us if we were on foot, but because we're on train we get to see some amazing things?
Yeah, I mean, we say the best way to see the Rockies is by train, and we do go to places and through canyons that you can't access via road or via foot unless you're hiking for possibly days.
I'm not hiking. I'm not a hiker.
No, I'm not a hiker either. I like to sit back and enjoy. And there are things such as, we have something called the spiral tunnels, which is between Banff and Kamloops, and these were handmade or hand dug in the late 1800s. As part of the Trans-Canada Railway. So they basically go through two mountains, and there's like a figure of 8. So the train kind of comes over the top of itself.
So it goes through,
through one mountain.
Through one mountain. So there's a tunnel dug through.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in a kind of half semicircle, if you like, a semicircle even, not a half semicircle.
Yeah.
And then another one through another mountain, but a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So you're kind of going through, climbing, and coming either back down or up. And it's the only way you can experience this is on the train.
It sounds, such great engineering so long ago.
Yeah, and this is before they had machinery.
Oh.
And surveyors and things like that. So, it's really challenging. There are places like that where you can't access by road.
Wonderful. OK, we're going to have a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Lots more questions here. Now, if you're already liking the sound of getting away and perhaps looking to take a cruise and a rail holiday, then this is our first time guide to cruise holidays. Now, it's well worth asking for because it's absolutely free of charge. Just give us a call, 03330 032 216. Now, calls will be charged at standard national rates. You can ask for a copy through our website at www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Whilst you're asking for this, we'll take a quick break. See you shortly. Welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic, where in today's programme we're discussing train journeys through the Canadian Rockies, and Craig is still with me. Craig, thanks for sticking around. Now, just before the break I was telling people about perhaps they might want to do a cruise, but we're actually talking about rail holidays. So can the two go hand in hand?
Yeah, absolutely. We travel to and from Vancouver and Seattle, which are the two main cruise hubs for Alaska. Around 50% of our guests will combine the train with a cruise. So it's a huge part of our business. And we connect seamlessly with all the different cruise lines that operate out there. So you can make a fabulous, 2-week holiday, a week on land and a week on the sea. So it's fantastic and complements each other in terms of the scenery and what you'd expect.
It does sound idyllic. Where do we pick trains up from? Where do we get on?
There's various different points you can embark the train. So on the west coast, we now have Seattle and Vancouver as embarkation points, which will then take you across to the Rockies in either a 2 or 3 day journey. And then in the Rockies themselves, you can embark the train in Banff, Lake Louise and Jasper, and then come the opposite way, so across to the west coast. So there's lots of points. And
obviously Vancouver and Seattle are easy to get to, but are the other places easy for people? I mean, obviously you've done your homework, you know that, because I think sometimes when it comes to holidays, you can get a little bit stressed. I get quite stressed about how I'm going to get somewhere. Am I going to be there on time?
Yep.
Is it all quite easy for us?
It is, yeah. I mean, we have a number of packages which make it very easy. So for the Rockies, you would fly into Calgary. It's about a 9-hour flight from the UK, and then from Calgary to Banff by road, it's about an hour and 45 minutes transfer. And we include within our packages all of these transfers are available to engage with us. So very easy. We make it easy for you.
And what about as a first-time traveller? What would you say is the best route? This is the one that you should see. These are the things that are going to wow you and make you want to come back for more.
So if I was to describe an itinerary, which would take in all the marquee places, you would fly into Calgary. You'd have a night in Calgary, big city, oil town. Transfer out into the Rockies and spend a couple of nights in Banff, which is the main resort town for the Canadian Rockies. Go and see Lake Louise is a must, and stay in Lake Louise, the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise, beautiful hotel. The lake itself is one of the most photographed in the world, stunning, just sits below a glacier. And then take the Icefield Parkway, which takes you from Lake Louise to Jasper. So this is one of the most scenic highways in the world, where you can go and explore the Athabasca Glacier. You can go on these Ice Explorer trucks, which take you onto the glacier, so you can do a little excursion. It's a full day tour, stunning scenery, lots of stops on the way, so beautiful kind of glacial fed lakes, the mountains obviously, and hopefully a lot of wildlife as you travel along. Jasper is a nice, quaint, kind of more rustic town, lots of outdoor activities to do, and then embark on the train. And then you take the train from Jasper via Kamloops for your overnight stop onto Vancouver. And then you've got 2 full days of differing scenery, where you would go past Mount Robson, which is the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies, and then your scenery would be ever changing all the way through as you finish in Vancouver. So there's your week on the land. There's my my perfect itinerary.
It does sound perfect. Let's talk about, so I've booked that. That's my perfect trip. Thank you very much for your advice. What if I'm a bit panicky about, I'm a fussy eater and am I going to like food? Are they going to feed me? Those type of things.
Fortunately, we do feed our guests.
Hurrah!
and plenty of food and very good quality. So on the train itself, we have 2 classes of service to choose from. So we have Silverleaf service and Goldleaf service. So Silverleaf service would be a single level dome coach where you would eat at your seats. And we provide breakfast and lunch for our guests on both days of their train travel. And these are served at your seat. It's fully inclusive bar service, 3-course breakfast, 3-course lunch. So you've got lots of choice whilst you're on board. If you've got specific dietary requirements, then you just let us know beforehand and we'll cater for those. As you move into Gold Leaf, then the difference changes to a bi-level dome coach. So upstairs we've got an observation floor where we have all of our seating. And then downstairs we have a private dining room where we serve a 3-course a la carte breakfast and lunch. So you've got, real wide variety of different types of food. It's all Canadian sourced. So Canada's famous, or Western Canada is very famous for salmon, for beef from Alberta. So we provide all the locally sourced food on board the train and serve it in different ways.
Sounds amazing, mouth-watering. So when I've finished feeding my face, what about the things I'm going to see? Because I might go, oh, that's interesting, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So throughout the 2-day journey, our onboard hosts provide, we call it creative storytelling. So it's ongoing commentary throughout the 2-day journey. So people are learning about where they're travelling to, through and from. They're learning a bit about the history, about the wildlife, and we're spotting wildlife as well. So from the train driver all the way down the train, they're looking out for the bears, the bald eagles that will glide above the train. So if you can imagine a gold leaf dome with a glass ceiling, and you're looking above you with these bald eagles soaring across, that's what we're looking for, that's what we're pointing out. So people are learning as they travel.
What you do is quite niche. Is it railway enthusiasts that go, oh, got to do it? Or actually, is it a real broad spectrum of people who would appreciate this?
It's a very broad spectrum, yeah. We've been operating 25 years. We've carried over 1.2 million guests now. They're not all training enthusiasts. They have a like for the finer things in life, something a bit different. Scenery, it's very scenic, which is why it's so well matched to Alaska, because of that scenery as well. So it applies to everybody really. So we take everything from families to retired couples, all the way through.
Well, I was going to ask you about sort of who does it suit really? Have you found that people do get an awful lot from it? Because I'm not quite sure if I took kids on it, they might be a bit tutting and rolling eyes. Is there a specific customer? Yeah,
our average age would be about 60. So it's couples, retired, semi-retired, who've got time to spend throughout, the kind of summer months. We do obviously accept families if we like children, as everybody does. Yeah, really.
Okay.
But whether 2 days on the train is quite a long time for some of the younger children. So perhaps maybe the older kids would appreciate it more.
Yeah.
But yeah, we cater for children as well in terms of meal times and such.
Fabulous.
Like.
And now, finally, before we head off, what's the most exciting thing you've seen whilst on one of these trips, wildlife-wise?
It's got to be bears.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say
bears
something
every time. Every time you see a bear, it's amazing how you can see them in their natural habitat, and they don't run away. As soon as the train arrives. Trains have been travelling through for 125 years. Bears have been there a lot longer, so they're used to us. Every time I see a bear, I'm excited. You want to see it. You want to try and get a photo.
Is there a specific bear that is typical to the Rockies? Is it a brown bear, a grizzly bear? I don't know.
You're
I
more
know
likely
not a polar bear.
It's not a polar bear. You're more likely to see black bears. There are grizzlies around, but it's not very often that you'd see them.
And you said that you saw one from the train and when not on the train.
Yes.
So how was that experience being outside with a bear?
So yeah, we were so off the train. They're along the roadside. So you're not encouraged to get out of your vehicle to go, because they are wild animals and they're very dangerous. So it's still exciting, and they have what they call bear jams on the road. So we have traffic jams, they have bear jams. So everybody stops on the side of the road.
Mr. Bear does his own thing.
Yeah, he just wanders around, and eventually he'll wander off into the woods or up the mountains. So it is a very different experience. But the train will slow down if they spot bears. So you can still see it as you're travelling along, and they're in trees or they're down by the rivers. So you've got to keep your eyes peeled all the time.
It sounds absolutely idyllic for me. Bears and snow, just two things I love. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, just a quick reminder about this before we head off. It's our first time guide to cruise holidays and it's absolutely free of charge. Just give us a call, 03330 032 216. Calls will be charged at standard national rates. Don't forget you can also ask for a copy through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, where you can also get in touch with your questions for future programmes. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. My huge thanks to Craig Upshall and thanks to you for watching. See you next time.